when we're giving you a behind-the-scenes look, there's no better person to have this discussion than Becky with Trish Groves Agency. How you doing today, Becky?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me on your show. This is exciting.
Is it? I mean, like, what's more exciting, being in Vegas or being on the show?
Truthfully, this. I'm super pumped about this. I've been looking forward to it.
That was a good answer, especially in our presence.
I'm sucking up from the get-go.
Yep, and this is being on the show is one of the only things you don't have to pay for in Vegas. So that's kind of nice.
You can't even walk through the casino without some money falling out of your pocket.
Yep.
You do actually have to pay me before we're done. So
Nobody told me that ahead of time.
you know now.
Well, neither of those people taking pictures with you out on the strip. Like, oh, you want your phone back? Like, that's got to be $20.
So yesterday we tried to ask some like random trucking questions on the strip to people, and we thought it seemed like a great way to see what their knowledge was based on what actually is knowledge.
I can only imagine what you got.
Like, oh, yeah. I don't think you could, because we couldn't either. We were like, this is a great idea. And then we realized, like, nobody wanted to talk to us because they all thought it was a hustle. Yeah. And then Josh was like, there's literally ladies with their butts hanging out. I don't know why you guys think someone's going to talk to you. They don't even talk to them.
Yeah, you're not that good looking.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not.
you went out there during the day. At night, it would have been a different story.
Oh, dude, I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
I would have had, somebody would have probably been like on so many drugs they tried to eat the microphone.
Probably.
So, Becky, you know, we're here. We're trying to give everyone a behind-the-scenes look of all the planning and the organization and the processes that trucking has in place to attract talent into those trucks that they're trying to fill. You know, with you guys working over at the agency, that gives you a lot of insight, as from my experience at least. And I'd like to ask you a question. So, when carriers are looking for a solution, if that solution is possibly an agency, what's the benefits of an agency on the carrier's behalf trying to attract driver talent in today's competitive market?
Well, you know, the industry changes all the time. And I try to put myself in the director of recruiting position. There are so many fires that they're normally putting out day to day. You're managing people, you're having to be in meetings with other directors of your company. Anything can be happening from the day to day. What our experience is, and I've been doing this since 2004, so I've seen ebbs and flows in this industry like a lot of our colleagues have as well. But what I pride myself on is truly being part of the team, even though I'm not an employee of the team. So I like to get to know the company itself, really understand the inner workings, what works for the recruiting department, even their safety departments, their operations. You've got to understand the full picture of a carrier and then be able to provide your expertise, your knowledge base to help them in whatever that may be. So it's not just, hey, let me place an ad for you. That has gone to the wayside since we stopped advertising in newspapers. It's not that easy anymore. You really have to put some thought into what makes the most sense for this carrier, this situation, and being able to bring that knowledge base to the table is something that a director or even a marketing department can say, hey, with one phone call, I can call Becky and say that I need XYZ figured out and then move on with their day and not have to worry about it because they know I'm going to take care of it. And I really pride myself on being able to do that. And then honestly, been doing a really good job.
So if you were to advise a driver on the best place in this market to look to have as many job offers as possible that would benefit them, where would you tell them to look at?
You know, they're in the best position they've probably ever been in terms of having options. You know, the tides have turned from drivers being disposable almost back in the 80s to nowadays. You know, if you're a good driver with a really good safety record, a really good work record, you really have some great options available to you. So I would say to a driver, you know, be a consumer just like anybody else is. If I want to buy myself a new car or, you know, buy a new pair of shoes, what are you going to do? You're going to go to social media, probably first and foremost. That's what I do. And I want to learn about that company. So I check that out. I see what conversations are being said, pictures being posted, kind of get a sense for what that company looks like. And then I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to do some searches. And there are a plethora of options of where you can go and find information about all kinds of carriers.
With a tight market like this, right? With this not a completely unprecedented situation, but like the situation we're in with the freight market. Being, you know, working at an agency, I make, you know, videos for trucking companies. And one thing that I always strive for is authenticity. And I like how you talked about you go and you fact find about the company. And so I would say maybe for carriers, I've found in my experience that a lot of carriers want to be perceived a certain way. but the way they want to be perceived is not the way they are. It's not necessarily always a bad thing. It's just they might want to be like the company on the other side of town or something like that. What would you say for carriers? So it's a two-part question. For carriers, how important is that authenticity, especially in like regards to retention and that kind of thing? But then secondly, do you have any good tips to help drivers kind of see through the companies who might not be being as authentic?
Oh, yeah. So I don't think you can hide who you are. A lot of times if you go on social media, I think that's one of the best platforms to really see kind of off the cuff stuff, right? So I love when a carrier can just do little clips of their driver appreciation events, or even just, hey, I walked out and into the lot today and ran into, Danny driver and just had a little chat with him. That's very authentic. And I think, again, as a consumer's point of view, you can tell right off the bat if something's authentic or not. It's not forced. And I think just showing that day-to-day within the culture of your company, be honest with yourself. If your culture is a positive one and that is reinforced within onboarding a driver and through orientation and a driver's working experience with you, that's going to show. But if you force it, people can smell that a mile away. So just do your due diligence, showcase the positives. Everybody's got positives, but you can't force it because that's going to be a turnoff for sure.
All right. So here's a follow-up question.
Oh, boy.
Best practices for carriers. In your professional opinion, do you think drivers care about posts about like someone winning an award in the office or an office employees having lunch or something like that? Do you think when you put that out on social media, like what kind of message do you think that actually sends the drivers who are coming to research your company?
I think it does really well to show that the company cares about its employees and drivers if you're recognizing everybody. But if it's just self-promotion of your employees all the time and you're not really addressing your drivers on those platforms, then I think I think you missed the mark.
If someone wanted to reach out to you guys, what's the best way to find you?
My email is really easy to remember. It's Becky at trishgrovesagency.com. You can also look up me on LinkedIn, or Trish is my business partner and who the agency's name is after Trish Groves, and she is Trish at Groves Agency. Again, both of us can be found on LinkedIn.